Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Olena Berezovska. I continue to do podcasts with amazing specialists. And you know why? Because every specialist has something to share with you, and we learn from every speaker. They are unique people from around the world. And today, my guests are also special. This is Sarah Lewis from Great Britain. So welcome, Sarah. And I'm really happy that we're going to talk today and discuss very interesting topic. And it's a little bit of secret because I want to talk a little bit more about Sarah to introduce her properly. Again, it's very short bio, but if you want to know more, please scroll down this video and go to information about the video, and you will see more information about my wonderful speaker, my wonderful guest. And again, during this conversation, Sarah can add any information about herself because, of course, she's a unique person. So welcome, Sarah.
And thank you. Lovely to be here. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm going to read the most important words about you, introduce you. I don't want to miss anything. As I said, you're a very unique person, and we talked before with you, and I realized it's like important to bring all these methods and techniques you use dealing with people who have some psychological problems, because you created your own way, your own methods, and we're going to talk about this. So Sarah Lewis is a character organizational psychologist, a dialogic organizational development practitioner, postgraduate lecturer, sought after keynote speaker and conference presenter. She is an established author in the field of the publication, including Positive Psychology at Work, Positive Psychology and Change, Positive Psychology in Business, and Appreciative Inquiry for Change Management. This is wonderful. And Sarah runs her own consulting business, Appreciating Change, and hosts an online shop, and we will talk about shop a little bit later, as a positive psychology shop, which offers a range of psychology training and development tools. So this is short, but again, if you check websites, links that we are going to provide in information about video, so you will know about Sarah more. And I'm very fascinated, I'm very impressed what she's doing. So welcome to our podcast. So we start, from like this huge variety of techniques and methods the modern psychology use dealing with people with the problems, right? And you also create your own way and your own methods, help people to get mental stability, to go through the trauma, and be more organized, have positive attitude, positive emotion. And I would like you to tell a little bit more about this unique methods you created, and then we will have even some game. So, but again, just watch us and follow us, and then you will see what I mean.
Okay, I'm very happy to do that. So I've worked with people and organizations all my adult life. Initially, I was a social worker. I met a lot of people in distress as a social worker. And then I moved over to working with leaders and managers in organizations. And I also met people in distress, if in a slightly different way. So I trained initially as a psychologist. And 20 years ago, of course, positive psychology burst onto the psychological scene. And I'd already discovered a methodology called Appreciative Inquiry. One of the books is about it, which is a very positive way of working with organizations and people. Now, I do a lot of group work, working with divisions, coaching, performance management, those kind of activities in organizations. And I wanted to find a way to bring some of the findings from positive psychology into the workplace in a way that was engaging, accessible, tactile, and made it fun for people to explore these very interesting concepts and interventions that were coming through from positive psychology. I'm sure you've talked about positive psychology on these podcasts before, so I won't say too much, but two of the key pillars are knowing and understanding our own strengths. And the research shows very clearly that the better we understand our own strengths and get to use them every day, the better that is for our well-being, for our sense of competence, for our sense of confidence, our sense of self-efficacy, and all sorts of other good things. So one of the tools I want to share today, I didn't design it myself, but we sell it, and it's one of our best sellers, is about how to identify your strengths and how to help other people identify their strengths. And one of the other key pillars is this idea of how do we feel? You know, okay, it's nice to feel good, but does that really, is that just a luxury? Does that really add anything to the world? Well, the research has come through very clearly that feeling good has benefits for us, mental health benefits, physical health benefits. It affects our physiology, it affects our way of thinking, it affects what we see in the world and how we understand the world. And what's really important is that we can affect how we feel. This isn't to deny that bad things happen to people. It isn't to say that feeling less than wonderful is a problem. It's not. It's a very important warning system to us that something isn't right, that we need to change something in our world. But the interesting thing is we're in a better position to change something once we feel better. We have more resources at our command. And so the other second tool I'd like to introduce is around positive emotions. And then if we have time, there's another one that we might get onto. But that's what I thought would be a couple of good starters for people about how there are tools out there that you can either use for yourself or you can use in a work setting, and that can include, you know, educational settings, clinical settings, you know, therapy, counseling sessions, as well as ordinary organizations.
Yes, and you know, I found out that usually when we go through some negative emotions, even when we talk with previous guests, that the emotion cannot be negative. They just like all normal for us, but we call it negative, meaning that it's some kind of like pain. It's our psychological problem. It's like our disappointment. And when we go through this type of feelings and emotion, we usually want something that would encourage us, would gives us like, you know, hope, or give us some kind of positive support that everything will be okay, that you just have to believe. Or let's say this is what like your task for the day, be like this, right? And that's why it's kind of like not prophecy, but people like to find some support, like they say, from outside, maybe from God, some message, maybe from other person message, right? But they want to have something. And I know you have this cards, and like how many people like tarot cards or any kind of cards, like it's kind of crazy, right? And you created completely different cards, but again, yeah, I looked through your websites, and you created five sets, if I'm not mistaken, different types of cards. And this is also as a method of psychological help. And when we were playing during our previous kind of conversation, I mean, when we were just discussing what we're going to talk about, there was some kind of introduction, and we started playing already. And remember, I told you, like, I pick up the card you showed me, and was hope. And I said, this is what I need exactly in this moment, right? It's like believe and hope that everything will be fine, which is really kind of uplifting. And I said, wow. And also yesterday I was visiting my friend, and she caught some problem with her daughter, and it happened suddenly. She was really upset. And that's why she also, like I said, you know, you need some kind of support. I said, I need a message. I need a message who, like, that it says everything will be fine. Just relax. Just this happened, you know. And I said, so I'm giving you this message. And she started laughing, you know. But we always want to get some message. And I would like to talk about these cards. They are beautiful. I saw them, you know, not all of them, but let's talk about cards, which people really like. So tell me more about this sets of cards, and then we can play. We can try again because I really like it to pick up the card.
Okay, so this is part of a set of positive emotion cards, or
Wow.
how to feel good. How to feel good. Feeling good is good for us, is no doubt about it. And so I designed these cards, and they cover 5 different types of emotions. So there's activating emotions, soothing emotions, restorative emotions, relational emotions, and transformative emotions. So all of these emotional sets, as it were, offer us something different. You can imagine if you're very agitated, then you want to be soothed. How do I calm myself down? How can I soothe myself? And if you're suffering from a lack of motivation and your get up and go has got up and gone, then it's kind of, how can I get myself motivated again? How can I get myself interested in the world again? So people might want to come at this from different directions depending on what they're interested in achieving. And for each of the subsets, there's an initial card that explains, for instance, here we have activating emotions. You know, why are they good for our well-being? And so for each of the emotions here, gives us a little insight into how the emotion is good for us, and a little definition. So being curious, which is one of the earlier ones, I find it here, which is described as the itch to find out more. I try and put just a little something on the front that gives us a quick idea of what the card's about. It says here, how are they good for our well-being? Being curious is an intense desire to explore novel and challenging information. Wow. It's associated with increased attention, deeper information processing, better information retention, and greater task persistence. It helps enliven mundane or painful tasks. Many of us have those in our work. It enhances emotional well-being, vitality, and emotional intelligence, and is associated with personal growth and learning. And then on the back, it says, well, how are they good for the workplace? All very well, very nice for the people, but I own the business, or I'm the manager or the leader or the shareholder. What good is it for me helping people feel better? Well, for instance, feeling curious promotes the building of knowledge and skills, relationships, expertise that leads to capacity building and improved performance. In other words, when we follow our curiosity, we enhance our resource base. It promotes responsiveness and flexibility, allowing the organization to better manage ambiguity, stressful challenges, uncertainty, and change. Now, what organization doesn't have to deal with those things these days? So you've got all the information here to make a case for, why feeling curious is good for us. And then on the back of the cards, there's some ideas about how to achieve that state, how to work with someone to help them feel more curious or whatever.
It's
so
amazing.
Sorry,
it's amazing type of cards, because it could be affirmation for a day. Let's say you want to start with a card. It also, when you have specific feeling, you can go and check specific feelings or emotions, right? And then learn more. And it could be a game, whatever you want, right? Which just gives some fun at the same time, when you are not suppressed or pressed to learn something like under intention, then you don't accept it very positively. But if it's game, then you can, oh wow, so I'm gonna read it, I'm gonna learn more. And it could be a training process, like helping other people and coaching like other people. So not necessary for yourself, but for your coworker or member of the family or friend or somebody else, which makes these cards unique. Also, you use I would say scientific background. It's not just like something not true, but this is proved through many psychological studies, and taking like what is working, what is not working. And that's why it's not just like prophecy cards or whatever. It gives you a lot of knowledge and power to understand yourself and understand other people, which I really like, which I really like. So how many cards you have? I mean, in a like, let's say, like about positive emotion, like in numbers.
There's 30 cards in the pack about emotion. So there's 30 specific positive emotions explored in depth. So there's 6 in each of the 5 categories, making 30 overall. And you're absolutely right. Part of the reason I wanted to develop this set of cards was to help people expand their ability to feel good. The more we understand the possibilities, the more we can notice them when they occur, then we can name them, and then we can savor them, i.e. notice, oh, I'm feeling a real moment of joy right now. You know, this is wonderful. Let me just stay here for a moment before I move on to the next thing in my life, or whatever it is. Or I had a really great day today. I felt really hopeful about the future for a change. That was a really nice feeling. So the more language we have, the more awareness we have of subtle differences in how we feel that indicate we're experiencing a different kind of emotion, the greater our vocabulary and the greater our ability to feel these things. You know, if we don't know them, if we don't know what they are, if we don't notice them, we don't feel them.
So let's play. Let's because this morning I woke up. I had very difficult night because my dog was sick, and I was really energetically and emotionally down. He's okay. He's perfectly okay now, but I couldn't sleep.
That, yeah.
And it was a mess. All night went just like up and downs, ups and downs. So let's say I need some kind of support. I want to hear something from universe or whatever, from you through your cards. So show me the cards and I'll pick up any, it's randomly, let's say, that I will not be using my prejudice. So let's say any card I pick up.
Okay, I'm going to assume, given what you've said, we're going to look at restorative emotions.
Let's say picture. I cannot read. Let's say what it says. Yeah. Okay. So let's the last one from your right. The last one.
This one?
Yeah. Yeah. So what it says?
Yeah. Okay. It says feeling fulfilled. What does it mean to feel fulfilled in life? This is very much about the good life. You know, the good life is more than just having fun. It's something about being fulfilled, and it describes living a life filled with meaning and purpose. And so we know that this is very good for us. Give me a moment, because it means that we feel that our strengths and talents are being used to a worthy end, that we're working towards something worthwhile, and that we're living in line with our personal values. So thinking about you with your dog, which was a disruptive experience, yes, possibly in some ways, one of life's little could do without that. But you're living in line with your values. It's important to you to look after your dog. It's important to you that your dog is a healthy and satisfied kind of dog. So you could feel fulfilled about what you did and the choices that you made.
It's true, because it reminds me who I am and what I should do. You see, even with sleepless night, I know that I'm planning a podcast. I'm gonna meet you. We are gonna have wonderful conversation. So I still have this importance that what I'm doing, right? So this message reminds me who I am. So it doesn't matter what happened in your life, even and the dog is okay now, perfectly okay. And so it tells me that you have more value in life, whatever you do. You see, and it's actually lifting me up. It gives me more positive emotions, because great, I can feel much more energy, and be sure that what I'm doing right, and that's how it works. And it's true, it's some affirmation or some knowledge or reminding or support, psychological support. And I think it's much better than tarot cards or whatever, than when you look at a picture and you're guessing what does it mean, especially when you have no idea about cards and how to interpret all this kind of prophecies and whatever. So here's a prophecy, what your life is, and then just take it and accept it and be happy, which I really like it. Yeah. And
I think that's
go ahead.
I think that's a really nice way to work with them, with people, is kind of, what is the image that you're drawn to? And then you can explore, well, because obviously we try to find photos of people or images that reflect the emotions. So this is a gentleman looking very you know, like he's done a good job at work today. He's happy with what he's done. He's feeling fulfilled. And then on the back, there's, if you want to explore it further, and you've started answering these questions already, there's some coaching questions like, you know, which aspects of your life are most fulfilling for you? Out of all the things you do, which are the ones that have the greatest meaning for you, that really pull on your skills and talents?
In my life, like
yeah, if you, I think you said
if
some
I
of that
start
already,
analyzing, like, yeah, exactly, in what I did before, I was concentrating more on family and children, which is normal to be a mother, right? And when the children growing,
yeah,
so I put everything aside. So I never thought about, like, career or whatever. And then when my children grew up and become adults, and I start having more free for myself, and then who I am, what I would like to do, what I planned to do and I couldn't do, right? What I wanted to accomplish and I had no time to accomplish. And then I start concentrating more on myself, which is normal, because like I'm exploring myself, I would say, every day, even knowing myself. But because we cannot predict some events. In most cases we cannot predict, right? So for us it's very important to react properly, not without destroying your own life because of this too much negativity or fear, or going into stress, a very deep stress. And I see what happened to many people during this COVID pandemic, when they were isolated and had no conversation with people, normal, like realistic, real relationship. And I see what happened to them, like mentally. And, that's why I said it's God, like, so I have to learn how to cope with any negative events that happen in my life. At the same time, like, get more positive, more meaning, something like, that lifting me up, makes me happy. And in this way, this cards much better than I would kind of like, use some, I don't use any tarot cards, whatever cards, I mean, because I'm not that person. But I mean, instead of like guessing and playing in prophecies, oh God, tell me, I think it's much more easier to understand, because it's about feelings and emotion. It's about part of our life. It's nothing from outside. It's nothing from kind of like, it's from inside. And
yeah, you're absolutely right. And part of the whole thing of these kind of exercises is the redirecting of attention. And I think
yeah,
what you've identified really importantly there is things that fulfill us in one part of our life. As we move through life, maybe things change and we need to find other sources of fulfillment. It can disappear out of our life without us really noticing, just because things change. And so this refocus on, what do I actually find fulfilling? What is most fulfilling for me in my life? And, one of the questions to hear is, and how do they relate to your use of strengths? Now, we haven't really talked about strengths yet.
yeah.
This is one of the ways you can start bringing, all the aspects together. Now, you're doing all these podcasts. I'm so impressed. You're doing 1 or 2 a week. I mean, it takes me a month to set up and think about doing something like
I'm
this.
quite
So you've
I'm
obviously
quite organized, and everything is organized, and it's from, I guess I learned it from my childhood, when my mom gave me some task to do, and she said, if you want to be free, then do the task, and then you're free and do whatever you want. So that's why I organize my day. Even being a pupil, with not even before teenagers age. So I had a lot of tasks, and I and then I learned how to kind of do it, not like, oh, I'm gonna do it. I'm too lazy, or I'm busy, or whatever. So no, I'll do this, and that. The same, like today, I'm gonna have my wonderful friend from United States passing through Canada to Canadian airport, and he called me and he said, and we are friends for 35 or 37 years for sure, even before I lived in Ukraine. And then we see each other quite often, but because of COVID, we couldn't see each other too often. And then he calls me in the last minute, just a couple of minutes before podcast, says, I'll be very close to your house. Would you like me to drop by? I said, okay, but I'm busy till 12 o'clock. Then, just come inside, whatever, and then we'll have dinner. And I was happy because I had another plans, but again, it's a pleasure. to meet old friend. It's a pleasure to see them talk, because it's another part of support or kind of exchange of information. What's going on in your life? What's going on in my life, right? And this is like that's I'm really learn how to accept everything that's coming in a way, in easy way, and not too much negativity, of course. But I mean, if I have to change the plan, I try to be flexible, and and the cards help me actually to like your cards, and the conversation with psychologist, conversation with other specialists. It's part of my life, what I'm doing, and I like it, so and let's talk about some other sets of cards you have, because you have 5 sets of cards, right?
I do. I wasn't going to talk about them all today necessarily. But what I was going to say just there is, in that conversation we were just having, you gave a very good demonstration of some of your strengths. You're clearly flexible. So you've changed your plans at the last minute to accommodate long-standing friends. The fact that you have these long-standing friends, even though you've been separated by oceans, suggests to me there's some strengths there of relational strengths, maybe loyalty strengths, maybe empathy strengths, those kind of things. You've talked about being very organized and definitely being able to put kind of work first, play second, which suggests a certain efficiency in life and a certain, as you say, ability to time manage well and organize well. So we can help people identify what their strengths might be, even just through conversation, if we have developed what they call strength spotting skills, if we're listening out for them. But I wanted to introduce these, even though I didn't design these myself, just because strengths is such a key part of positive psychology, and we sell them through the shop, and I've included them in the links, which I believe are going to be under this video podcast. But these sets of strengths, there's a huge number. There's over 50 different strengths here. As you can see, there's action, authenticity, what have we got there? Self-discipline, that would probably be one of yours as well, and so on. And so the sort of game one plays with this is, you ask somebody, tell me about yourself at your best. Tell me when you feel you're really achieving, or when you're lost in flow. I don't know if you've discussed flow, but that sense of a lack of self-consciousness, very engaged in the task, not really worrying about anything much else, just right in there doing whatever it is, and it's taking all of your mental capacity to do it. But you're feeling good, but you don't know how you're feeling good. They talk about a minute can be an hour can be a minute when you're in flow. You lose sense of time. When that's going on, what are you doing? Tell me about what's happening. Tell me about your best possible moment. And then the other person or people, they've got all these cue cards to help them think, what was I hearing there that I thought was really impressive? Was it open-mindedness? Did she strike me as having the strength of open-mindedness, that when someone came up with something unexpected, she was like, oh, that's interesting, as opposed to, no, that won't fit. Is it learning? Is it clear that she loves learning? Is it, and I think it might be with you, although I haven't heard the clear, I suspect kindness could be one. It's just someone who's very kind, who puts themselves out for other people or animals, and you try to get the other person or people to pick out 6 or 7 of what they think they heard in your conversation, and then you can have a conversation about it, and you can say, yes, you're absolutely right. I find it very hard not to help people who need help. Or you can say, I wish it was, but that was just a one-off. That's exceptional for me. But some of the other things you mentioned, might be my strength. So, I mean, we can, have that conversation now, but I think to some extent we've already covered that. But these are a terrific set of strengths cards. This is let me just show everybody the
I interrupt you. It would be very interesting, like, for example, if you ask the person to choose cards that this person thinks represents the strengths the most, like, the biggest strength, and then the weakness, like what is lacking, let's say kindness or love. Some people who are disappointed in love relationships say, oh, I don't believe in love, right? So it's not for me. At the same time, like, it's a task. Would you like to improve yourself and work on this weak strengths, right? Or accept who you are and then use your biggest strengths more efficiently, right? So that's a lot of possibilities. And you know, it's not like talking, and because sometimes we talk, a conversation never goes too far, because then, like, you know, but when you see the card, and if you take card home or whatever, then you actually, you can think more, you can come back and, yeah, it's interesting, yeah, this is like. And I found also your condition, like, it has a huge influence on the card you pick up. Today you feel like this, tomorrow, in 1 week, you feel differently. And is it positive, or it's negative for you? So there are a lot of opportunities, like using the cards, which much better than reading just a book. Some people like to read the book, but some people, they don't like to read the book. They don't get a lot from books. Also, we quite often, we like to put our interpretation of the words, like, because I'm writing books, you wouldn't believe like how often I'm getting like, in your book you're saying this and this. I said, no, I'm not saying this and this. I'm saying completely different, but you switch the words, you switch interpretation, and you put your own like interpretation what I'm saying. And then you know, and then look at the paragraph, look at this text, the sentence. I never said this way, I said different way. And I never offended, like, when people, because I understand we are different, and of course we have different opinion about something. And but the cards also, they give you you can read this card many times during different period of your life and have learning something new all the time, because you one day you miss some sentence, you didn't pay attention, and another day you found this is fascinating. And I think it's a very good way of even like working with yourself, not just going through the psychologist, right? Because you can have this card at home, and that's why I know you have shop. I mentioned in the beginning, where people can order this different cards and like try to play, even with friends, even with because if I had this card like yesterday, I would tell my friend, okay, pick up one, just like, you know, let's think this is message from somewhere. So you're picking up the card, let's read.
They're really great for, you know, what is the best I see in me, but equally importantly, what is the best I see in you? This is a gift I can give you. This is the best I see of you. This is my impression of you at your best. What you do almost effortlessly that other people can't do like this. And you could think of it as naming our gifts. You know, what are the gifts that we have that we're often not very aware of ourselves because we take them for granted. And you hear people saying, oh no, it wasn't anything special, anyone would have done that. No, anyone wouldn't have done, but you did, because you've got a bucket load of strengths in that particular area. You couldn't have done anything else. You had to do that because of your strength of whatever it is. But people sometimes can't see their own strengths, and so to have them reflected back in conversation, and I agree with you, when there's two people in a conversation, you can really get to the bottom of, well, what do we mean by this, and what does the card tell us on the back, and does that make sense, and you know, how do I see this motivational strength that you have, so you can really explore it and fine tune it to the person involved, which can be difficult from a book because it has to be generic.
Yeah, and you know what you said is kind of important, especially in a relationship with people, because I was thinking, okay, when we represent ourselves, we know who we are, but other people look at us, they don't know exactly how we see ourselves, right? It's like you go into the movie and you see a movie about yourself, so you know exactly what is the movie, because you were playing this movie, you were the main character, the hero, and then you want to see the reaction of people, because you would have different reaction, different interpretation, and different point of view, who you are, what you're doing. And I was thinking it would be probably important in relationship with cards, because let's say I can say this is what I think who I am, and this is my strengths, and this is my weak part. But tell me, what have you see myself? How you see me? Tell me, like, choose the cards. How you perceive me, and then definitely we would be surprised that sometimes I would, like, people even closest ones see you not in a way you wanted. You were thinking, oh my God, she chooses cards, but this is how I probably, like, maybe there was some kind of a lack of conversation, lack of explanation in this way. and then the person sees me differently when I see myself differently. So I think it's a very good even training cards in a way that if we play this game with somebody, even close people. So let's not talk like, about how bad or good we are. Let's talk about how we represent ourselves, what you think about me and my character, and then my strengths and what I need to improve in what do you think I have to improve, right? So it's amazing that this card exists because it's an interaction. It could be even in group of people, right? Like we can actually
I use it a lot with groups, and there's loads of different ways you can use them. But one of the really important things about doing these, playing these kind of games, which get to the strengths, is it helps people sort out what are actually their strengths from what are only their skills. So we can become very skilled in something that it doesn't energize us. We don't really enjoy doing it. It actually is quite hard work, but we've become very skilled in it. But sometimes people think, because they see us doing it well, they think it's a strength, but actually it's not. It's just something that we've learned to do, and we may even find it de-energizing, whereas using our strengths is always energizing for us. That's one of the kind of defining factors. When we're using our strengths, we're likely to be feeling energized, and feeling good. So it helps people think in terms of job fit. Okay, so I may be very good at this job, I've learned all the skills that go with it, but it doesn't make me happy. Why doesn't it make me happy? Well, because I'm not actually using my strengths. My strengths are quite different. My strengths, I could be a data entry analyst or something, but my real strengths are playfulness and creativity and, I don't know, gregariousness, sociability, and I'm not getting any of those. So sometimes it helps explain sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes people, they would like to do this and that, but they shy. They're afraid to be to open the mouth publicly, like start talking. I actually was shy for many years, but the desire to help people, to help with the information, to educate, it's also was very powerful in me, and that's why I start talking. And then I see the audience, the reaction of people, they love it, and they encourage me to do more and more and more. So I stopped being afraid, like being shy, and especially when I share the knowledge.
But this is fulfilling to you because you're doing what you want to do. It sounds as if learning is one of your strengths. You love to learn, you love to help other people learn. So when we're fueled by that sense of purposefulness and worthwhileness, and we're playing to some of our strengths, that comes across to people. Even if we're not terribly skilled at the beginning, the energy and the commitment and the value base comes across to people, and they generally warm to it. And then you get into a virtuous circle. So you made a few attempts, people encouraged you because they could see that this was authentic and from the heart. It just needed a bit more encouragement, a bit more skill. You needed to build up, your confidence a little bit. And obviously it only took a few steps, and there you are from shy to 25,000 people in a stadium. Because all the right elements are there.
Our podcast is coming to the end. We had a wonderful, interesting conversation, and if we continue, I hope we continue, and we'll go through other cards next time. But at the end, I usually ask my guests to give some tips, like summarize what we're saying and send some messages to our viewers, that they will remember this short and important messages, if you have any.
I do. So looking after ourselves, our mental state, our positive mental health, as well as our physical health, is very important. The more we can do for ourselves, the better. And psychology shows very clearly two key things that we've covered today. One is that knowing and using your own strengths every day gives you a much better chance of having a good time at work, or at home or in the family, and feeling good about yourself and feeling a sense of meaning and accomplishment. So number one thing is to find out what your strengths are and learn how to use them well to achieve what you want to achieve in life. The other key message, the other key pillar, one of the key pillars of positive psychology is how we feel, our emotional state. And while some people are naturally happier than others, there's no doubt about it, we can all affect our own state at any particular moment. And states of emotion can be created and recreated. So we can help ourselves get up when we're knocked over. We can help ourselves feel better when we feel a bit low. We can help lift ourselves up when we're feeling a bit down. And the two card sets that I've introduced today are communicative tools. They're development tools. They're to help you personally identify your strengths and extend your ability to feel a range of positive emotions. Or if you're a professional, then you can use them with other people to help them with those things as well. So those would be my two tips. Know your strengths and work on being able to manage your own emotional state.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this productive conversation, this productive podcast we had. And I'm sure our viewers learn a lot from this conversation. Again, if you want to know more about Sarah, just scroll down, see the information about video, go check websites and the Positive Psychology Shop, and get some cards, get some books written by Sarah. And again, I hope we will have continuation, like we will continue this conversation, because there are 3 other sets of cards, also very interesting, you know, and we will play again some game. You can suggest what kind of game you want to see, and subscribe to our channel. And thank you, Sarah. Thank you very much for participating in my podcast.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity. It's been a lovely, lovely conversation. Thank you.
Bye-bye.